So welcome. We are live. Kevin and I are in an undisclosed location, the Media Hotel.
Yeah, in San Jose.
In San Jose. Look it up. I'm sure it's somewhere. And
Probably if it's me, it's probably a Marriott.
it's probably a Marriott.
Yeah.
It's this is a program which I guarantee will fall over at some point during the show, but it's perked there carefully. I waited in line for 50 minutes. 50. The actual selling of merchandise in San Jose is horrible. They have like 5 stands, okay, and there are literally 2 people at each stand for the entire arena. There's 10 people selling, and it was just the lines were just there's no like big store or anything like that. It's just completely crazy. So, but I did get a couple programs. So my mom, I know, is watching. She's been asking me to get a program. Yes, I did. I did a program and a couple programs. And yeah. So, but besides that, Mike, you had a rant. You said you wanted to.
Well, and I informed Russ about this, and I'll let him give his point of view. But you know, the weekend you had the NBA final in Oakland on Sunday. You had the Stanley Cup final Game 3 in San Jose on Saturday. The game on Saturday was a thrilling overtime. You know, with Donskoy scoring the winning goal. The Golden State Cleveland game was over by halftime. I mean, they were leading by 30 points in the third quarter. But the broadcasting partners of the NHL and the NBA, ABC broadcast the NBA final. NBC, in their brilliance, put the Stanley Cup final not on NBC, but on NBCSN. Now, I don't know if they were doing that to to get people to put pressure on their cable companies to sign up NBCSN, but NBC was showing repeats of Dateline NBC at Saturday night at 9 o'clock. So great job there, NBC. You spent your $2 billion to put the Stanley Cup final on a backup network. Way to go.
And here's the funny thing. So I was at a cousin's house in Monroe, New York. I drove back from the Combine, and they were watching TV, so I wasn't going to be that cousin that turns on the Stanley Cup and doesn't care what the rest of the family wants to watch. So I waited it out, and when everybody was done watching TV, I said, "Hey, can you put on, NBC Sports Network?" And they're like, "What's that?" And I'm like, "Well, it's got the Stanley Cup." And I said, "Here, I'll look it up on my phone, and we'll find the number." And they were on Cablevision. There is no number. They don't have it. It's not even applicable. And so they had no idea what the channel even is, and that's literally an hour outside of New York City.
Right. A lot of people have Cablevision.
Wow. I mean, this is like the days of Sports Channel America, the NBC, the NHL like Sports Channel America, or it's
right there. But yeah, I hear you. No, but it is weird. Don't they usually do all the games on the major network?
No, it goes back and forth.
Yeah.
Usually.
Okay. Yeah. There you go. I mean, it was a shame because it was the best game of the series so far.
It was.
I mean,
and it killed the NBA game. That was the point.
Oh, yeah,
the NBA game was a 30-point blowout for a while, like Mike told me, and this game was fantastic.
Yeah. No, it was a great. I mean, this was a great game. Just back and forth, crazy exciting, and the Sharks are alive. Are the Sharks really alive, Kevin?
Yes. Yeah.
You really think they're legitimately alive?
I do. Martin Jones has outplayed Murray.
Yeah.
Murray hasn't been horrible. He hasn't been horrible, but he gave up the one bad goal that really put the Sharks back in the series. I mean, you could talk about all of the things that they did, like they came out with more determination, and they were more fiery. They had a lot more shots directed at the net. Penguins had to block 38 shots. But when it came down to it, it was goaltending. I said before the series that in order for the Sharks to win, with all the shots that the Penguins were putting on team, that he had to have a .935 save percentage, and he was at .952, and they won. I mean it's just mathematics. If the Penguins are going to get 40 shots on goal, Jones is going to have to be .935 or better.
You know what Jones does really well, and what's the 2 goalies is really fascinating to me is that Jones is so much further out on top of his crease than Murray is. Jones is out playing the angle way more, and it's just Murray is more of a classic I want to say, I mean, I know people were comparing him to Carey Price, but it's more of that kind of goalie, I guess, is what you'd say. But Jones is really, he's challenging. Jones has a lot more of Jonathan Quick in him that way. Like, Quick will come out once in a while and do the big challenge. You can see that. Jones has the cockiness of Quick, I feel like. He's got, the king cockiness.
I described him the other day, and this is such a contradiction, but to me it makes sense. He's discreetly hockey.
Yes.
Like, he doesn't say anything,
Yeah.
but when you talk to him, you have this feeling that he just thinks, I'm pretty darn good.
Yeah.
And, your questions you're asking me are, yeah, exactly. There's just there is a self-confidence in him that cannot be, even though he doesn't speak like that.
Yeah. Agreed.
The only thing that I see that's different between Jones and Quick is Quick will get down and out more than Jones and get out of it. Jones doesn't really ever get down and out.
Yeah, that's a good point. And Jones is his positioning is pretty outstanding. But he's very confident. And I was just, as it's going into overtime, I'm thinking to myself, the pressure on these two young goalies was unbelievable. And
you're worried about it more than they are, I'm telling you.
I know. That's true. I mean, it's one of. And in a way, Murray didn't give up the greatest goal, but it wasn't really his fault. I mean, it was a great.
No, I mean, it wasn't.
Yeah, that was a bad goal. He knew it. He even said so after the game.
Donskoy?
Yeah. No.
That's what I'm talking about.
The one
Ward's goal.
I blame him on that one. I mean, you don't pay your goalies to make the easy saves.
No, it bounced off of those players. I don't know. It was a tough one. I mean, Donskoy was playing so well. You could tell he was going to do something.
I mean, I don't blame him for the Donskoy goal. It snuck underneath the crossbar. That's extremely tough. But the Ward shot, the Ward goal was about 10 feet inside the blue line, and the defenseman got out of the way. The only thing he didn't get out of the way was the stick. And of course, I'm sure Don Cherry probably had a stroke when he saw that, because he always has a conniption when the defenseman puts the stick in front of the puck. But he didn't even see the opening goal. He didn't see Braun's goal. So, I mean, I can only blame him for the one. But if you looked at Mario Lemieux's reaction, he was ready to jump out of that corporate box.
I heard about that. Yeah, I mean, throwing his arms in the air. To be fair, I mean, come on. Earlier, was it earlier? It was later in the game, obviously. But it was Couture rang the puck off the post. Yeah. I mean, that was where I was. I'm in the auxiliary press box right behind that goal, and that literally looked like it went in. And it was one of those, we just thought it was such a hard shot right off the post, and there's nothing you could do about that. So I don't know. There's all different sorts of. I think there's great dynamics between goalies here, and Jones has played out of his mind. You're saying, my gosh, but the Sharks did a bunch of posts too.
Yeah, well, Murray, it's not like Murray has played poorly. I think he's played quite sharply, but it was just the one goal that was really bad, and I really thought he could have stopped Donskoy's goal. It was not a bad goal. I would agree with that assessment, but you do have to make the big saves in the big games. But saying all that, what I do like about Murray, and they've been talking about his composure, but I think it even goes beyond that. Like, you were just, when Russ brought up about how quick flies around in his crease, there's a very limited movement from Murray. Like, he's always in the right position, and he's never out of position. Yeah. Like, that's the thing I've been struck by. Yeah. Here he is a rookie, and he's always where he should be. Yeah, and hey, look, it leaked through him, the Ward thing, but it wasn't because he wasn't playing it correctly. He muffed it, essentially.
And we've seen almost all the goals that go in on him from the outside. I mean, what you're seeing, when you get close on him, you can't beat him. It feels like down low, they're just taking him apart. He's grabbing everything. The Ward shots from outside. You have a lot of the other shots that started from outside, deflections. So, maybe that's because he's back a little bit further in his net, which is helping him in close. But it's hard to say, really. I think these are just, you're looking at they're just firing the puck, and there's 6 skates and 12 blades, and everything's going around, and it could hit anything, and that's what it comes down to.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing too about it. I've had some readers talk about, block shots, but and the Sharks should be more selective. But I don't buy that. Yeah. Like, I've talked to some Sharks who said the same thing. You just keep shooting, because a block shot doesn't mean there's a scoring opportunity, because the puck caroms
right.
It ricochets everywhere.
And you have to take so many shots to get the couple through. I mean, that's the reality of it. You're going to have to have 10 shots blocked. I mean, what was shocking about the last game was the Sharks. When you looked at the shot total, midway through the game, the Sharks had like 11 or 12 shots, and it felt like they had taken 100 shots.
Well, they probably had.
I think I heard the statistic right that Brent Burns had a dozen shots blocked.
That's true. Yeah.
True. And San Jose did what they had to do. They won Game 3, but everybody going into Game 3 thought that they were going to, empty out the tank, be emotional, just run over the Penguins, and they barely won. So to me, it's almost a case where, Pittsburgh should have a reason to feel confident, because if that was the best that San Jose can put forth against them, Pittsburgh's winning the series.
I don't know. I mean, everything's different, though. Like, they traveled. They're in their home arena. I don't think anybody has momentum. Even with a lead in the series, I don't think anybody has momentum, to be honest.
Right.
Well, plus, the big thing is that, there's the difference between, like, the Penguins, I think, have been the better team, but the difference between being the better team and being second best just isn't that great. Like, it's not full days. Like, these teams are still relatively close in terms of their ability. The Penguins, it felt like they dominated the first 2 games, but, they won each game by 1 goal, and the first one was in the last few minutes of regulation, and the second one was in overtime.
Yeah.
It's just the way the league is now.
And that's domination.
You're right. The scores couldn't be any closer. You have 3 1-goal games, but in terms of the control of the play, it just seems, and maybe that's deceiving, but it just seems Pittsburgh dominated for most of the time in Game 1. The second period was San Jose's. In Game 2, San Jose really didn't get a foothold until the final 10 minutes of the third period. And in this game, I thought it was fairly even, but, you had Pittsburgh with a massive amount of shots on goal, and San Jose had a lot of their opportunities blocked. So, right now it's 2-1 and it's very close, but only in the games and only in the score. I think Pittsburgh has dominated the play in these 3 games.
I'll say this: if Pittsburgh were to go up like 2-0 fairly early in the first period of this game, it would create some doubt in the Sharks' mind, I think.
I agree with that. I said that before. That's the other thing about Jones. He has not allowed the Penguins to get that 2-goal lead.
Right.
Like, if he would have given up another goal and they got a 2-goal lead, I think Pittsburgh would have won Game 3.
Yeah,
I agree. Jones has just refused to allow them to get that 2-goal lead.
Yeah, and the only time he did, the first game, the Sharks battled back right away.
Yeah.
Pretty much, like they came right in. And the Sharks were played better though when they were in that situation, as every team does when they're more desperate. But I think the Sharks have to do more of that. I think that's what they did in Game 3. They did a little bit more desperate. They played a little bit more like they were chased, like they were behind, and not afraid of giving. And as a result, you did see some breaks for the Penguins. You saw a couple 2-on-1s and breakaways and 3-on-2s. But you have to play that way against the Penguins, right? Because you got to score. And it's without.
And I don't think trading Hurdle for Zubris in this game is going to hurt him all that much, because Zubris has been there and actually he's gotten some pretty good shots on goal too. I know they lose a little speed, but I think Zubris could, add something for at least this 1 game.
Hurdle's been really good. I thought was their best player in Pittsburgh at times, though. I mean, I thought he was really good.
Yeah, that's what DeVore said as well. DeVore said he thought Hurdle had been their best player. I know Russ's point. But sometimes having a change in the style of players, as we see often, that's why the coaches make the changes. But Hurdle was, he's a top line performer, so taking him out, I think, is still pretty hurtful.
But I do like Zubris in there too. I agree with
that. I mean, one thing that San Jose needs to do. I mean, you remember they get that double minor power play, and up until the last few seconds, that power play was. I mean, they didn't get a bunch of. I thought they would get a number of offensive chances. They didn't get too many, but then they got that goal right at the tail end, and that salvaged things. But right now they have to take advantage. Their power play is very good, but Pittsburgh has done a pretty good job at neutralizing it.
Yeah, they have, and they've done a good job of not taking penalties too. So on top of it all, they really have been very. I mean, they have 1 penalty, 4-minute minor, and then there was something earlier in the game. That was it, right? So.
Yeah, I think Pittsburgh's PK is pretty unheralded. I don't think we're all talking about it all that much, and it's been great.
Well, I'm not one to talk about officiating because it is what it is, and it's been the same way for about 220 years. So it's not going to change. But also the game has they're not calling things that were penalties.
Oh yeah.
In the regular season. I mean, that last game was a perfect example where anything goes. In that last game too, and I think that's helped the Penguins as well, because the more times Sharks are on the power play, the worse it is for the Penguins.
I totally agree. if they're going to let them play, and it also just benefits them in general because they're the skating team, so they're going to be. I mean, they were really flying around. And, yeah, I think I agree with that completely. The Sharks need more power plays. If they get more power plays, then they'll be in good shape.
Now, are you guys wearing earplugs for the national anthem since Metallica is doing it?
I'm all excited. Kidding? No, I mean I'm not a Metallica fan at all, but I think it's a great thing. Like I said, I hope what I think should happen is Sidney Crosby should skate out with flowers and give them to Metallica at the end of it, just like just like the Islanders did with Kate Smith years ago.
The problem is in the middle of the Star Spangled Banner, they're going to break it into Nothing Else Matters. And they're going to start doing a guitar solo. So
I guess Mars won't have that big drum set up for this. It'll just be like a little drum.
Right. It's a hard song to do, by the way. Like I've had to do it before. National anthem is not like the greatest thing for them to be. That's why in a way it's funny that's the story of Kate Bush and God Bless America. It doesn't take as much of a range as God Bless America.
Well, I hope Roseanne is not in the building. Let's just say that.
Ooh,
big range, big range. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to illegally downloading the Metallica version of the national anthem, uploading it to Napster tomorrow.
Yeah.
I just hope Dave Mustaine doesn't try and break in and actually try and join the group on there.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. I can't wait to do that. Let's talk about the prospects. Kevin and I were just hanging out with the prospects. Just hanging. Shuffleboarding, they had the prospects and there was only a few of them there. But a couple things struck us. The first thing is how big Patrick Laine is.
Yeah,
he's a tall guy. He also has a really huge it factor. Like he looks like he should be on the latest Disney show about some guy who's singing in a pop band. That's what he looks like. He really does look like a star. He has a real star quality.
He also had the largest group of media interviewing him. He had twice as many, maybe 3 times as Austin Matthews had.
Is that just because he said
Laine is saying what the media wants to hear. The media that doesn't really know these prospects are going to listen to Laine and say, yeah, all right, I'm going to write that you might be the best in this draft and you might be number 1 because it gives me a story. But it's not necessarily a real story. But he's getting a bigger crowd because he's feeding into that, well, maybe Matthews isn't the number 1, even though there wasn't one person that I spoke to at the Combine who know prospects or otherwise that thought that was even a possibility, to be honest.
I mean, like I said in my column yesterday, Patrick Laine has every reason to be confident. He won the MVP of the Finnish League. He won the Jari Kurri Trophy. He won the title. He was the MVP of the World Championships. He won a World Junior. He's a fantastic player. He's going to be a star. Just one thing, he's not going to be the number 1 pick, and he's fooling himself. And he has every reason to say, I'm as good as Austin Matthews, but the people who are feeding into the narrative that he's going to be the number 1 pick, and him believing that he's going to be the number 1 pick, he's fooling himself and they're fooling themselves because the number 1 pick is Austin Matthews. It's going to be, and I mean, pretty much everybody in Toronto is saying it's Austin Matthews. So I understand that people have to write something the next 2.5 weeks, but please. Just shut up.
To be honest with you, I went back and looked at all. There's not many mainstream writers that are saying anything about Austin Matthews. The only people who are doing that are sort of the fringe, the fringe group.
Yeah, I mean, and Austin Matthews, he's a really nice. This is my first chance to talk to him, and I was really impressed. I mean, he's a very mature kid. I talked to him about what it was like to play in Europe. I asked if other players, and I'll write about this later, but I asked if other players should go there as well and follow his lead. Do you think that's a good idea? Yeah. And I also just talked to him about, because I talked to both of them about Don Granato, who was a buddy of mine, and he coached both of them in the U.S. development. So Kachuk and Matthews, I talked to both about this, and they all and Matthews, Don Granato was taking over Wisconsin. Right? He's going to the University of Wisconsin as that coach.
No.
That was it, wrong? Assistant coach. Yeah. Sorry. Right. But we both, I really respect him. But they both like talking about him, and Austin Matthews. I asked what he's looking forward to, and he's just really looking forward to the World Cup hockey. He said because he's going to get a chance to play, against these guys a little bit early, which is kind of a bonus.
He likes playing. That's the funny thing about Matthews. He just wants to play. He'll play in any tournament. He doesn't duck out of anything. That's the good thing about him is you never hear about him not wanting to play in some tournament.
This is awesome, and that's a true hockey player in my opinion. Yeah. I mean, that's really what I always remember about Ben Bishop, wasn't it? Ben Bishop who? No, was it Ben Bishop? No, it was the Sharks. Elliott. Brian, remember when Elliott? Remember when the Elliott thing when he was in the Caribbean and got picked to the All-Star team? His wife said to him, "It's the greatest wife ever." By the way, incredible thing for a wife to say. Have you ever said no to playing a hockey game? To her to say that while they're on the beach in the Caribbean? Yeah, it's just awesome.
I just think a few Maple Leaf fans are a little bit scared of all these extra tournaments. I mean, he has every right to play in them, and I'm sure he wants to play in them. But before he even steps on the ice wearing a blue and white uniform, he's playing in the World Championships.
The smartest thing to do would be to never let him play hockey again.
Stop.
I mean,
you know what I'm saying.
Once they draft him, wait till see what happens. Let him practice. Make sure he's wrapped in bubble wrap, but practice occasionally. And then if there's a big game, maybe like once a month, play him then. Don't send him to the minors.
Actually, just play him on Hockey Night in Canada. Just play him in those games.
I'd be willing to bet, Mike, that the Maple Leafs were thrilled that Austin Matthews was in the World Championships.
They are. It's funny because you're right. What you say, Mike? I was just kidding around, but what you're saying. Now you tell you this is how I know this because Peter Forsberg at the Hockey Hall of Fame when you won the award for Hockey Hall of Fame, and I'm going there, and Peter Forsberg is there too, and he talked about, if you remember, the Flyers and in his speech and how he was hurt, and he said to the you guys can maybe turn down a little bit. So he talked about when he was hurt, and he didn't want to mess up the Flyers to go to play in this tournament. And the Flyers said, no, you should go. You should go and play. And this is what teams do. You can't play being afraid of getting hurt. You just can't live that way. So it doesn't help anybody.
Yeah, and that benefited Matthews because he'll be more ready now. He's used to that. I talked to him about that, and he talked about what he learned, and to him the speed of the game was not a problem, but he felt like there was an adjustment that he had to make in terms of how quickly he had to think of the play he was going to do it. He could keep up with all the players, but he had to think faster, which he wouldn't have known until training camp had he not gone to the World Championship. The best question, though, for Matthews, and I thought this was interesting, somebody asked him whether or not, with the NHL trying to make this more of a world sport, does he ever think he's going to be at a playoffs doing interviews in Spanish? Because his mother, of course, is Mexican. His father's from California. His mother grew up in Mexico. His grandparents still live in Mexico. And his answer was, my mother would be very disappointed if I couldn't do an interview in Spanish. However, he said, I would need to, basically brush up a little bit. He can speak it, but he would need a little work on it. So, but I thought it was a great answer.
It's a great answer. It was really interesting. There is a lot of focus going on about after the Benino call. There's a lot of talk. I thought he was really good. Kachuk was really good to talk to. He was, and he did look small next to Patrick Laine. He's not small. I mean, but he still looked small next to Laine.
Well, he's only 3 inches shorter.
He looks 6 or 8. We're talking perception, obviously. Not real. He was standing off, and it was just amazing. I don't know if it was the shoes or the way they were standing.
I mean, Laine was taller than all the reporters, as well.
Yeah.
Sometimes prospects, I remember interviewing prospects before, they're not always taller than the reporters.
Yeah, I mean, it almost looked like a basketball interview.
One observation from the combine, because Matthews went through all the testing. Puljujarvi had a knee injury and a knee surgery in I think May, so he didn't participate. Laine hurt his leg during the I think it was the VO2 testing, so he only did upper body work. He didn't do anything on the bike. And Kachuk was injured from the Memorial Cup. There's some speculation, like with the NHL, like the NFL Combine, that some of the top prospects going forward are not even going to participate in the measurables because it doesn't do them any good to do that. It will just lower their stock. It can't raise them anymore because they're already in the top, but they won't participate. I don't know if that's going to happen, but it's out there.
I don't buy it because Matthews shouldn't have done it either then.
Right, and he did. He said he said he wanted to do what everybody was going to do, and that's a testament to him. But maybe going forward.
Yeah, but I'll tell you this: if Nolan Patrick happens to be the #1 pick next year, he's going to do it all too.
Right.
He's that kind of kid too.
Yeah, I think for now, I mean, I think we could get there eventually, but I think we're not quite there yet. I could definitely see where it would not benefit a guy who was a big prospect to do it. I mean, it's not like Austin Matthews' stock's going to fall by not doing it.
Yeah, no, I've talked to scouts about this, and most of them have the, we used to pick these guys without having a combine before. It's not like, I don't think it'll be the end of the world.
No. I mean, the combines, to do a guy is like, it's like a 4th or 5th round pick or whatever going there. That's potentially to move up to a 2nd or 3rd round pick. That's the before. And that's what the NFL combines are for too, right? So that's really what they is. Right. Here's an interesting stat that was brought up to me today. The Sharks have yet to hold a lead in the series. Which is really crazy when you think about it. I mean, they had a lead, but they didn't have to hold it because it was the end of the game, because that was it. But they have yet. And then, I saw Tom Giletti, who writes really good stuff for the NHL, write that Pete DeBoer's Devils did not hold a lead in that series against the Kings until 3:40-something left in the 3rd period of Game 4.
Wow.
So, DeBoer's teams have never held a lead in the first 3 games of a Stanley Cup final. That's just kind of nuts. But
I'll go out on a limb. If you don't lead the game, it's kind of tough to win.
Yeah, and yet they're in it. They're in it. They haven't had a lead.
They're in it.
But it does go to your point of maybe they're not.
I mean, you can not hold the lead and win the series.
You can.
As long as you keep winning.
Sure.
You never have to play. You never have to hold the lead.
This could be a repeat of the 1993.
Right. The John McClare series, right? Yeah.
Just keep having overtime games. That would kill me, but
yeah. Yeah, and it's funny because the game's out here starting at 5 o'clock. It's obviously starting at 8 o'clock because it isn't time travel. It's just a different time. So, but it's funny because the last we were all upset the game's over at 8:30. My gosh, so late it's over at 8:30. Like very funny how this.
You go out to dinner after then. That's great.
Yeah, I mean you can actually get together with people. Although the thing is, we're still all on the time zone of the East. We were talking about last night. We went to dinner. We were exhausted. We went to dinner at 6:30, and got back. It was midnight back home. No wonder we were hungry. We were tired.
I got up at 4 o'clock today.
I woke up at 4:45. I know that's you do, right? You can't help it. But yeah, I think. I guess obviously tonight a win by the Sharks, we see Game 6, right? That's we're coming back the same day. We talked about that, but and I've heard both sides of this. Let's hear what everybody thinks happens tonight. I'm a friend of another reporter who's here thinks the Sharks are going to run away with it. He thinks this is their game completely.
I don't see that.
Yeah.
What do you see, Russ?
I see Pittsburgh edging this one out like 4-2, and the Sharks are going to have to fight for their lives in Game 5 in Pittsburgh. I think that's what's going to happen. I expected the Sharks to win the first one in the Shark Tank, but I now think that that's going to sort of be leveled out, and we are going to have to see their best game in the series, and I don't know if that's going to happen or not.
Right. I mean, I pretty much see it the same way. I mean, the thing is, I think DeBoer tried to match up Marc-Edouard Vlasic and Braun against Crosby, and I'm not sure if you can really neutralize Sidney Crosby, but they did as best they could. But the one thing, again, that bottom pairing of Dillon and Polak stood out like a sore thumb. And if they get that matchup against that HBK line, they're going to get killed. And they've been getting beaten to the puck consistently. I think for the Sharks to win, they're going to need their special teams to come through. Pavelski really early, like everybody said going into this series that Pavelski was the odds-on favorite to be the Conn Smythe Trophy winner going into the final, and I really haven't noticed him that much in 3 games. Now, some people are saying he might be injured. Some people would just say that Pittsburgh's speed is sort of neutralizing him, but they need Pavelski to show up tonight if they're going to even the series. But I think Pittsburgh has the advantage.
We had just discussed the same thing. You were talking about him, Mike, over lunch, and the idea of that Pavelski was the guy, and now, but it could be a long series. I think he could definitely rebound. He's been the one thing I felt like the Sharks need to do tonight. I thought they started to do it midway through the second period. Is they got to get the puck in. They're trying to carrying the puck in over with the Penguins is not working. And the best chance they have is getting it deep because the Penguins defense they do get the puck away, and that you started to see it in the second and third period. They were giving. I mean, Letang had some beautiful giveaways. There were some giveaways there to be had.
But the Penguins have been adept. Their defense has been adept at one thing. If the opposition is trying to come into the offensive zone, they've been stick checking and they've been knocking the puck off of the stick of the Sharks. And even against Tampa Bay, they did the same thing. They do not allow a team to carry the puck into the zone. And maybe because of their speed that you can't dump the puck in, but I think you have to dump the puck in and bang away at the Pittsburgh defense, because I just think that their defense is their Achilles heel. But San Jose just can't get to the point where they can get to them.
And that's the news. So let's play our final game before we start talking about the other news here. And I like to call that game. Actually, we didn't get your view on this game.
Well, I'm going to give a little credit to the Sharks.
Okay.
I think the Penguins are going to win, but I think this is really a toss-up game because I think based on the dressing room after the last game, this is a very confident Sharks team now. They felt really good about that game, and I think a lot of that has to do with how well Jones is playing.
Yeah.
And they had a lot of shot attempts. Like, players don't necessarily buy into advanced stats, but they do sort of understand the idea that when you're cranking a lot of shots, whether they're getting blocked or not, that things are going well. And I think they felt pretty good about the number of shot attempts they had in that last game. Now, saying all that, I still think Pittsburgh is the better team. And so I see it as kind of a 3-2, 2-1 type game that the Penguins will survive more than win.
Yeah, I can see that. I mean, I'm going to go 3-2 Sharks. I'm going to go another overtime game. And I'm going to say the one thing that I keep thinking, Mike Sullivan, of course, we know is a Tortorella guy, right? He was a Tortorella guy. And there is no question that you're seeing that in the black shots, right? You're seeing Tortorella's, I mean, how many Rangers couldn't make it to the finals? They were just limping into the finals because they were completely devastated by all the shots they were going. Every shot you take does take a piece, it takes a piece out of the hearts and literally legs of these Penguins players.
And that's why I think we're moving away from a shot blocking league, because of the amount of money being spent on defensemen. I see it happening more and more. That you don't want everybody blocking shots. You just don't.
Right, and if they do block shots, you have a player like Dan Girardi who's being paid $5.5 million, and halfway through the contract, he's not worth 1/5 of that because he's slowed down and injured because he's blocked so many shots.
Yeah, it's like if you drive your car in crappy conditions all the time, your car's going to get beat to hell. That's what's going on, and these guys are fine-tuned machines, and this is what's happening. So my favorite game to play, of course, we're going to play is why was Game 3 Phil Kessel's fault? Okay, because I saw, again, Game 2, they were blaming the icing. If you can catch up to the icing, I thought that was unbelievable. It doesn't make that has nothing to do with anything. This game, I saw a great tweet, and I won't put it out. I don't want to rip the person, but a great tweet saying, when is Phil Kessel going to learn how to take a breakaway? Because he's in the breakaway. He's like, everybody knows he deeps. That's the move he does all the time. If he scores there, the Penguins go up 2-0, and the series is over. So again, Phil, it's your fault. Even though you're the lead.
I know. It's Phil had a problem in Game 3 because he went before the game looking for a hot dog, and in Northern California, you can only find veggie dogs.
You'd be surprised.
There's dogs in the San Jose press box.
There are dogs in the San Jose press box. There is not. I mean, there is. You notice the total lack of recycling in the San Jose arena. It's true. Like for a place like this, like for California, like we went to a buddy's house, and they're like, they're reusing their bathwater to water their plants. They live in a multi-million-dollar place, but they're doing all this great. The solar panels to heat the water for their heater. They're not turning their air conditioning on. The environment, and a lot of that is going on around here. I mean, this is an area that's really well aware of that kind of thing. And yet, there are not. I mean, in Pittsburgh, there's put your plastics and put your things here. Everyone's just throwing the trash away. One big thing in the San Jose arena. I just kind of surprising.
They may sort it at the dump, though. You don't know. They may have a contract where it gets sorted after.
That's true. I shouldn't rip them, but they do need more people to sell things. I mean, getting a program is an hour-long process. And but the other thing, that part of that is because the people in California are so freaking nice. I want to throw this out there too. I'm standing in line, okay, and they're selling T-shirts, Stanley Cup T-shirts, and 3 people in a row who were in front of me were like, the girl's like, oh, what size are you? She's like, large. You sure? Here, why don't you try the medium? But this line's like, oh no, I'm always a large. No, here, try the medium. Oh, yeah, you're right, you are a large. But you want to try an extra large first, just in case, because these run small. Here, take this. And every person who did this. So I'm like sitting there, and I actually can't find it. I'm like, not, and of course I look like a sore thumb because everyone is like painted in teal, and I'm standing in a gray suit. I'm standing in the concourse in a gray suit. Everyone's like in teal. I've got my laptop, my suitcase, like I'm standing there, and I look like, I'm obviously the guy who doesn't belong. So I go up to the usher who walks by. I'm like, I got an idea. Like, I don't do a jerk or anything like that. I'll wait all day. I don't care. But what about having like a try-on section? Like over here, while you're waiting, let's pass that large back through the line. We'll all try on that one shirt, see how it works, because we don't have to all get there and say, you look like a large. Oh my God, sorry.
Nobody tries on shirts in like New York and Philly. No. They just buy them.
No, you like that shirt? That's yours. You can't return it. That's yours.
Right.
Oh, I know. So you have to buy as big a shirt as you can.
You touch it, you buy it.
Right, you're done. So, and this is a credit to the wonderful people in San Jose, because these people are so polite and nice out here. And it was fun, though. I will say, standing in line was fun, because I did get to meet everybody in the arena personally, and that was nice, because everybody walked through, because we were in the line to go across the concourse, so everybody had to walk past us. So it was like, excuse me. So the whole time it was just people getting to their seats, So
there is a breaking story if you want it.
Sure. Let's see if we can fix it.
So Gary Lawless from TSN was on Winnipeg radio today and said that the Carolina Hurricanes have borrowed $300 million from the NHL.
That's why they didn't approve my loan. Damn it.
When Gary talked about that line of credit the other day and a lot of teams took advantage of it, well, they seem to have taken more than just taken advantage of it.
$300 million? What do they need?
$300 million.
What do they need $300 million?
Barbecue's expensive these days.
To pay players, I guess.
Well, does this tie in with
the budget is only $70 million.
This is ironic. Of course, the fact is that they borrowed $200 million off the trust fund, right? Of the
$100 million.
So, what I'm guessing, they're paying back $100 million. They're taking the other $100 million and putting it on red and trying to double back so they get that thing there.
So it was $100 million, not $300.
Yeah, well, 100 was the initial part that he got from his sons,
right?
And then $300 million is what's being reported was borrowed from the league. And even though the league told us the other night that they're okay with this and feel comfortable,
right,
the report says they want their money back as quickly as possible.
Yeah, I mean, Bill Daly was interviewed on Toronto radio last week, and effectively as Bill Daly does, because he's very adept. Dodged the question regarding this line of credit that the Hurricanes may have tapped into. But with this, if this is accurate, then I mean this whole situation. I mean, tapping $100 million out of the trust. Now the kids suing Peter Karmanos for this. And this is all leading to: does Carolina get sold? Do they get moved to Quebec? What does this mean for the future of that franchise? And I know, Russ, you've said that no franchise that's won a Stanley Cup is going to get moved.
Heck said that, not me.
Yeah, Heck said about that, though. That is something that I've been told. I've been told that
this team might be in danger. They really might be in danger.
Here's the thing I heard, and Kevin, you can interrupt me, but I heard that Karmanos could be moving, obviously, losing the team or selling the team, but I also heard that there are people from that area that would not move the team. I've heard that there are buyers in that area.
We always hear that, but what happens is...
This is the thing with this, because he's been trying to get buyers for a long time, right?
Right.
But the people who buy in at 39% did not have any power. But I've heard that those people, if they had power, they're in. And I've heard they're good.
You do hear that, but then sometimes the money doesn't happen,
right.
and then something becomes more dire. Like, that is always the first report we hear, that, hey, there are buyers, and then when there's the vetting process and people actually have to pay up, then sometimes we hear a different thing.
Yeah, if Boots, go ahead.
I don't think they're moving. I think this was a successful franchise when they were winning. I think we view it as the same, and I think they'll work pretty hard to try to keep it there. Is it messy right now because of the financial situation? For sure. But that's just the way business is sometimes. Sometimes through ownership issues, things get complicated. But I don't think that moving this team to Quebec is something that's anywhere close to being a thought right now.
Yeah, I would say I agree with that. I think at this point, I mean, it could get dicey though. These things have a way of getting dicey. A couple other bad breaks, and you never know, I guess. Here's an interesting stat for you guys. Can you name another goalie in the history of the NHL, okay, doing 3+ games in the Stanley Cup Finals? This is a great stat. 3+ games in the Stanley Cup Finals had a higher save. There's only one in the history of the NHL had a higher save percentage than Martin Jones.
3 games.
3 games. So like there was a goalie a losing goalie in 3 games. Okay, that lost.
Ron Hextall.
J.S. Shiger, 2003.
Nope.
Ron Hextall.
Nope.
3. So it's 3 that lost games.
So it's just the per Elias Sports. Okay, this Elias Sports. Sorry, this is the deal. Okay, this goalie has at .939 had the best save percentage in a single Cup final by the team on the losing team in 3+ games. So,
I see it.
Does that make sense?
Okay.
Doesn't make sense to me.
Glenn Hall.
Nope.
Roger Crozier, 1964.
This was in the last 20 years. We did that.
Oh, okay. 66. Sorry, I meant.
Let me think.
Yeah, that's 20 years. I'm sure you covered this final.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
I give up.
Hold on.
So because Martin Jones is 938, like you said right now.
Yeah.
This goalie was at 939.
Okay, so.
Eddie Belfour, 2000.
No, not that far off though from year-wise. Pretty close.
2001, Patrick Roy.
No, we're really.
Marty Brodeur.
No, I will tell you this. It was in the 1900s. Last 20 years, 1900s.
Dominic Hasek, 99.
There you go.
Yeah.
Wow.
939 in 1999.
Yeah.
That's really, and that series was, who was that? That was Detroit versus.
No, that
Dallas Buffalo.
That was the whole goal.
Right. That was with also. Yep. That was when he was in Buffalo. So I thought, no, Yuri Sakash has signed in the KHL.
I'm not shocked.
We don't hear about that. It's not that exciting. Yeah. All right. So let's.
Can we talk briefly about the salary cap situation, because the reports that popped up over the weekend. Elliot Friedman reported on Saturday that the PA had been told by the league that if they did not vote for the 5% escalator clause, that the cap would go under $70 million. So it's sort of like they're saying, if you want a little more money, you're going to have to vote the escalator clause, and obviously that means increased escrow. So, I mean, I don't know. I'm sure a lot of players don't want to give an extra 2% of escrow next year, but if they want the cap to go up, I think it would be a little less than $73 million. They're probably going to have to vote for the escalator.
Yeah, I mean, they did it all but 1 year, and I think they regretted when they didn't do it that year. So, I think they'll certainly vote that in. I mean, you can't just say, well, I got mine.
Yeah.
So, the next group that comes in. So, the escrow, I mean, no one likes it coming out of their check, but regardless of whether it comes out or not, I mean, they still have to pay the freight. They only get, their share of the revenue, regardless of what happens. So,
I'll tell you this: there was a lot of talk of it at the combine, because it's affecting the draft as far as teams maybe not willing to trade their picks now, and teams maybe not being able to afford to sort of move up, because now they have to give up so many assets, and now with the fact that the salary cap is what it is,
right?
Some teams don't even have flexibility anymore. So
and the value of players that have salary and term is going to go down precipitously, because there are going to be fewer and fewer teams that are going to have the room to be able to fit those players under the cap. Even if the cap goes up $1.5 million.
But we've talked about this a lot, how the players are going to get less money. It just feels like
I mean, there's not enough money available under the cap now to take care of all the free agents. So, a lot of GMs are telling me that instead of being one Cody Franson, there's going to be 10 or 11 Cody Franson.
I like how Cody Franson become the name of it, because I heard the same.
Well, no, I mean
Cody Franson.
But that's a very good point, because everybody and their brother before July 1st last year thought Cody Franson was going to get $5 million a year on a multi-year contract, and he got 2 years at 3.5. And I think Kevin's dead on. But what I do think is the guys who are the top of the heap, meaning Keith Yandel on defense and Steven Stamkos, are still going to get the big money because they're the best. They're the best players.
Why would you? Why why wouldn't
Yeah, they're still going. It's always the middle to lower guys that get screwed. They're the ones who get. Now, if you're an agent, but what I think this does, and it's interesting because I talked to an agent about this, and he said, "Well, that's just what will agents say? The one thing they'll say, that's NHL propaganda. They're just trying to scare us into signing contracts.
Right.
They're trying to scare us into signing lower contracts, and which is probably partially true.
Right.
But at the same time, the reality is, if you're an agent or a player, you are paying attention to this. You can't not pay attention to it. You got to say right now there's 25 defensive spots open. Next week there's going to be 12. The week after that's going to be 1. Then you're negative 5.
If you talk to some NHL GMs, they will absolutely. There are some that will tell you, hey, they now have to look at the draft to get their number one offensive defenseman because they can no longer rely on getting that on the free agent market.
Right. But go ahead, Ron. Go ahead.
Well, I'm just going to say, I've been around since they started free agency, and I don't remember any year, regardless of what's going on, that the top players didn't get their money. Like, I don't even think that's
right. No, I agree with that.
You're absolutely right, but there have been a little bit of inklings and whispers out there that the cap's not going to go up too much, and it'll limit the amount of teams that will bid on a guy like Stamkos, or Stamkos is not going to break $10 million. And I'm like, what balderdash? He's going to get big money either from if he doesn't get it from Tampa, he's going to get it from somebody. He's going to get it from Toronto or Detroit or Montreal. He's going to get over $10 million. So just face it. If that's
the reality is it does affect maybe it does affect Tampa being able to sign him perhaps, but that's
sure.
I would agree with that. Although I think there's still a possibility that he might take less to go somewhere if he feels comfortable.
He can really go there.
And I'm not talking like a lot less, but But I tend to agree. I tend to think he's going to get $10 million, but you never know what the circumstances are going to be. If he decided, it still feels like he's leaving to me, but if he decided that he wanted to stay in Tampa, well, he's going to be able to do that. It's taking a little while. So.
Yeah. I was going to ask you. You're still on the cap that he's leaving.
I guess. But it's funny because none of his options are perfect.
Yeah, that's true.
That's his biggest problem.
Great point.
It's not like
nothing that's obvious.
Yeah, that's right. It's if he goes to Toronto, there's the headache of it being in your own hometown and dealing with all that.
People might feel like
Actually, I'll disagree. If he was going to sign a one-year deal, the obvious one would be Pittsburgh, because even if Pittsburgh didn't win this year, you put Steve Stamkos on Pittsburgh, they're getting back to the Stanley Cup.
Yeah,
so in that regard, there is an option, but they can't afford a real contract from Stamkos.
Yeah.
But if you just had the blood clots like you had, you think he's going to have the longest deal like you had?
It doesn't matter. The blood clots don't
matter. Him in general.
He's not going to do a Paul Correa or a Timo Solani or a Marian Hossa and sign a one-year deal. He's going to get the big money. He's going to get the long-term deal, because if he doesn't get it now, and God forbid something else happens, he screwed himself out of $70 million. So he's going to sign the long-term deal. But I tend to think, though, with the Leafs winning the lottery and getting Matthews, that their odds improved dramatically, because this isn't going to be a 4 or 5 year rebuild anymore. There are reporters out there who are saying, "Oh, why would he throw away his career on Toronto?" Give me a break. It may be 2 years, 3 years. This team is going to be pretty damn good. It's not going to be 2021 until they raise their eyes to the sun and say, "I have come to you." It's 2 or 3 years. That's what it's.
I do have a report, Mike, on my phone. I was looking it up. In 1968, they said the exact same things in Toronto. Just so you know.
Now, there's a rumor, I guess this is true, it's not even a rumor, that the Board of Governors are meeting tomorrow, right, in New York City, right? The Executive Committee.
Yeah, so that'll be the recommendation time.
Tomorrow is when we'll hear it. So tomorrow, expect the leaks to come out. With all the Board of Governors there, someone's going to talk.
Yeah.
And you're going to hear it. We're going to find out whether, and everybody seems to think Vegas is a sure thing. Whether or not Quebec is included in this, I think is the big question.
This is the worst kept secret in the world. I'm sorry, it really is. They're going to Vegas.
It's not really even a secret yet. They legitimately haven't made a recommendation. So
yeah, you still got to go through the process.
Yeah,
sure.
Yeah, but
the most likely outcome is for sure the Vegas.
This is like going through the same process as an arranged wedding. No, we all know it's going to happen, but everybody just has to vote on it.
That's perfect.
There's no voting on arranged marriage.
No, there's no voting on arranged marriage. Although
There is a shotgun. We just gotta make sure we have ammunition.
Can I take this wedding metaphor just a little bit further? This is my thought. Because you're absolutely right. But you know the Amish, what they do when they get into a marriage is they let you go with your arranged person to be and have a wild, crazy weekend of just anything you want. Basically, before you're married, to see if you're compatible. And it's something the Amish don't admit to, but this is something that they do. And I can tell the Amish watching this right now will disagree with me.
Amish gone wild?
Obviously, Amish aren't watching this right now. That was a joke. But but yeah, no. So maybe this Vegas arranged wedding thing is like that. You know, maybe this is like this is what we're gonna see now. This anyway. Never mind. Doesn't make it.
Maybe the Amish were able to watch the game on NBCSN.
Maybe. Yeah. Radulov wants 2 years, $15 million. Anyone going to do that?
I wouldn't do it.
No.
That's his asking price. He's not getting that.
Yeah. No.
I think 2 years is the problem.
You know, the Red Wings want him.
Yeah.
They're feeling the little bit of desperation there because of their scoring, but they can't give him that amount of money. They know it.
Yeah.
His agent must be visiting Northern California and dipping into the psychedelic mushrooms because there's no way in God's green earth that Radulov is going to get $7.5 million for more. He at best, I think most teams that are interested in him, basically want to see, prove it to us, come here, play well, and maybe we'll give you a long-term deal. They want a 1-year contract, I don't know, $5 million, $5.5 million, something like that.
You'll get the Alexander Semin treatment.
Right.
Mike's right.
Yeah.
It's 1 year at $5 million is what they want to give him.
Yeah. Now, if he comes into the World Cup of Hockey and just blows everybody away, is that?
Doesn't matter.
He'll be signed by then, Eck. He has to be signed by then. They're not going to. No, nobody's going to have $5.5 million to.
That's true, but
in September.
Don't you also think though? There's still going to be a KHL next year. So I think that there was worries that there wouldn't be, but now there will be. He can make so much money in the KHL. It's going to take more than $5 million. I think. Yeah.
He seems to be done with the KHL. That's the difference. He seems to be.
In KHL, there's some issues there.
Yeah.
The money, the ruble. There's all sorts of things kind of going on.
That makes sense. All right, that's about all the time we have for today. We're going to get out of here. We get the game in just 3 short hours, I guess, right? Yep, 3 short hours. So enjoy. Sorry about the late show today. Tomorrow I will not be with you guys because I will be traveling back home. Although invite me anyway because my plane might, if it's delayed at all, I'll jump in from the airport. So,
I'm sure the person sitting next to you will appreciate it. We will invite you.
I will not do it on the plane. No, I will not do that. So I thought about it, but I can't. I tried to do a hangout for a plane one time.
Eck will be in the middle seat. He'd be like, look how this airline's jamming me in here.
I know. Oh, by the way, my goal horn story, I've got to tell you this. I ordered the goal horn that goes off automatically when someone scores, and I just put it in our closet at home and left.
It went off.
My wife is so mad. She is so angry. Because they're sitting there, they're watching the game 1 of the Stanley Cup Finals, and it's just then the first goal goes in and flashing red lights, and she goes in the closet like this. She just sees a red light flashing and an alarm. What alarm do we have in the closet? There's a red light on it. She thought it was a carbon dioxide detector. She took the kids outside. It was a mess.
Oh, great story.
It was a mess.
I told you that was going to be a problem.
So she could immediately call me up. What's going on? We've got a problem. There's an alarm going off in our closet. What alarm could that be?
They didn't call the fire department, did they?
I'm like, did the team get scored? He's like, yeah, they scored. And the second they scored, everything went crazy. I'm like, yeah. I'm like, I was just kidding around. I thought I would leave that thing in there to scare you guys. And he's like, well, she was so mad. Sorry. So that's so don't try that at home, okay? Don't do that. Remember, without the buzz, it is just hockey. We will talk to you soon.